one of the intents was apolitical, just straightforward Glendora humor for Glendorans. Laverne people probably won't get it. They don't get a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Oh man, this is already good. This is already good.
You know what, Taylor, we don't need an intro.
No?
I mean, it's your show. I'm not telling you what to do. I don't want to boss you around.
No, I agree. Well, good morning, Glendora. I'm sitting here with Adam Cozens. He's the genius brains, the humor behind Memes of Glendora. Super excited to have this conversation. He says I don't need an intro, but I wanted some kind of formality here. So Adam, tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of a little bit of background behind you.
Well, the genius, that's way too much of an, you claim you need an intro. I would have left all that out.
No.
Well, thank you, you're very kind. I'm trying to get better. My New Year's resolution was accepting compliments better.
Okay.
Because, people, we just don't, as a culture, I feel like we're really bad at it.
It is hard.
It's like, hey, I like your hair. Now, if you were to say, no, then you're really telling me I'm wrong.
Right.
Like, you're insulting me.
You're like, no, I don't. Yeah.
By saying that. So I'm trying to absorb better. So thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't agree, but thank you for your kind words, Taylor.
You're welcome.
Yes, I started, my name's Adam Cozens. I'm a father. I have 2 little girls. They're 7 and 3. I'm married. I live here in Glendora. Started Memes of Glendora back in October 2022. Okay. Yeah, that'd be right. So about a year and a half.
Okay.
Really? Just social media for the sake of social media.
Yeah, right.
Nothing of value to society.
I disagree with that. I think that there is some value because I've been following it for a while, and even if it's just that little relatable humor, I think it goes a long way. I think it does provide some value. That laughter, the comedy of it, that's a really big thing. Well, especially nowadays, in society, everything's so serious.
Well, that's kind. Yeah, when we first moved out here, it was like right in the height of, there's a lot of like school board elections going on, and there was like a lot of like campaign signs in everyone's yard, and It just felt very divisive. And the last couple of years have been rough in that regard anyway, like on a national, global level.
Yeah.
So like to even like think about just like little Glendora having infighting was just like, it was really a turnoff.
Yeah.
And so when we started making these posts, one of the intents was apolitical, just straightforward Glendora humor for Glendorans. Laverne people probably won't get it. They don't get a lot of stuff, you know what I'm saying? But it would be stuff that like really, it doesn't have a lot of value beyond our own borders. Sure. But it's like, hey, here's something that just, hopefully everyone in town can just get a chuckle at.
Yeah.
You don't need to save it, don't need to share it. Just like as you're passing through as you're hate scrolling, here's hopefully something that'll maybe brighten your mood even for a few minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And it does for me. When I wake up, I'm like, oh, it's windy out. Here's a perfect one to go with.
It's windy. It's not always going to be cutting edge stuff like, hey, it's a little overcast today.
Yeah.
Got to think of something now. What's overcast?
No, that's great. No, and I think it's kind of like what I was kind of trying to do too. It was just that little bit of like relatability for a small group of people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of what I was trying to make this, thinking of what I was doing to make it on a broader scale. Maybe I do it Good Morning LA or something like that, but it was like, no, it's why this town's kind of this, it's a unique thing, and I think there's enough people here to where it's, like you said, to kind of bring somebody together in this weird time we're in, And
I think that's why people, traditionally have pushed back locally when like a bigger chain moves into town.
Yeah.
And we all like the big chain food,
sure.
but like we also like to support the smaller businesses because it's been grown here. We probably live next to the people who are investing their finances and time into making these businesses happen.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of value in like supporting the community. Whether it's on, whether it's through like an informative talk show, whether it's through an Instagram account, or just like being local here, just walk around the village. There's this guy, I keep trying to interview him. Okay. I don't know if you know who he is. No. There's this guy, he just walks. He's walking everywhere. And I've talked to him a few times.
Really?
I'm like, hey, can I like talk to you for like, we have a series on Sunday called Meet Me in Glendora, where we just interview someone with like 10 questions and just post it. And he's like, no.
Really?
And he doesn't have an email, I guess, which is how I like send the messages across. But he's always walking, and he's like the friendliest guy.
Okay.
I'm not trying to besmirch him at all.
Of course.
But it's like he's like a Glendora person.
Really?
He's like a character. I feel like most people, if you saw him, you'd recognize him.
Okay.
He's just like, there's a handful of those folks around town who it's like that. I could take a picture of him, and like everyone would be like, that guy. But like, show that to someone, down in Sierra Madre or in Arcadia, and it's just not gonna have the same connection. Just having that brotherhood, sisterhood, neighborhood connection is it's just so important, especially in this day of age of digital, where we're all so separated. Having something that brings people together like your show is just great.
Yeah, thanks, man. I know, and that's what I was kind of talking to Jonathan at Classic Coffee about, was like the importance of supporting, say, somebody like that. I mean, nothing wrong against Starbucks or any of these big names, but contributing to a small, it all gets circled in more into the community versus buying on, we love Amazon, we love all these things, but for me, I was always trying to find that place. Well, okay, if I get my hair cut, instead of going to the big chains, let me find the local barber or whatever it is, Like
that place right there that just says barber.
Barber. Village Barber.
Village Barber, very on the nose.
See? Yeah.
That's a free plug. But they're right there. They're right here in the heart of the village.
So
I'm sure they do a good job.
Right. Instead of going to, say, Fantastic Sam's or something, you can find Village Barbers,
And that's not always possible, but whenever it is, it's nice to do so.
Yeah, it is. I agree. So we talked a little bit, and you were saying that you came from Seattle. Tell us a little bit about, were you born and raised up there and then moved down here?
Yeah, sorry to interrupt.
No.
I'm very chatty. I grew up in Seattle. I was there till I was 18. And then I moved down to Azusa to go to APU.
Okay.
And so I was at APU from the ages of 18 through like 21, 22. And then I moved out to Orange County for a couple of years. I'm really giving you the whole story.
Yeah, no, please do. I think it's
not even a few years, really just like 6 months.
Okay.
And then I moved back to Seattle. Then I was there for a year. Then I moved to New York for about 5 years.
Wow.
And then I moved back to LA, but I was down in more Echo Park area. And then my wife and I got married, and we moved to Pasadena, and we were there for 7 years. And then we moved out to Glendora about 3 years ago.
Wow.
So you want to do that Indiana Jones map that they do,
I'm gonna do
where it stops here, goes there, jets back here.
Goes back up.
That's a good way to do it, yeah.
I love that. Wow. And was your wife originally from here? How did you guys find Glendora?
Yeah, my wife grew up in West Covina.
Okay.
And then her family moved to Glendora when she was in 8th grade.
Oh,
so
okay.
she's been out here since, the 99.
Gotcha.
And so when we started dating, we met at APU.
Yeah.
But when we started dating actually we were both living in New York. We were friends for a long time, and then we got together in New York, which is just fun. It's just fun.
That's cool.
Yeah,
that's a cool story. Yeah,
and
that's really cool.
Thank you. So I'd been coming out to visit her, spend time with her parents, all through our dating and early marriage life. So I'd been coming to Glendora, between college and seeing her for 20 plus years at this point. So when we actually made the move out here, it was kind of what's a good word to describe it? I know there's some words that people use wrong, so I'm not trying to use, but it's it was kind of overwhelming in a sense of here's this block that I'd always drive past in order to get to her parents' house, and now I live there. There's this school that we'll sneak into on summer breaks to use the playground. My daughter goes there now. There's been lots of little funny, all right, I've always known of the Village Barber, but now I could actually get my hair cut there and not drive 45 minutes out of the way to do so.
Right. Wow.
That truck's noisy.
It is very noisy. It's probably gonna.
Can you guys hear it?
Can you guys hear us?
Kind of loud. Yeah, it's all right. Well, we're doing all right.
I'll see if we can cut
throw a filter on that guy.
I'm gonna have to hire an audio engineer to help us with.
It's gonna be a very expensive episode of
Guys,
Good Morning Glendora. which I'm glad you named it that, because I think LA, Good Morning LA is probably copywritten by somebody at this point.
I think it's a thing.
I think
it's like Mario Lopez on that, or
you
somebody.
You chose well. That's Access Hollywood.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Come on, Taylor.
I feel like one of those. Okay. Well, over the years, what are the few things that you've noticed, or what are the few things you've like really grown to love about Glendora?
I mean, I'm a sucker for this village here, man.
Yeah.
Like, I'll be, like, you know, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in Seattle, spent time in LA, spent time in New York. The smallest city I'd ever lived in previously was Pasadena, which like is a fairly big town. It's pretty well known.
It's a pretty big city. Yeah.
So, like, being able to go to like a Mayberry like this, like in any town USA, it's just lovely. I just like my kids love it. They can run around. I feel very safe. Yeah. You know, every once in a while I get a little too comfortable and they'll run out into the street and I'm like, all right, take it, rein it in. There are still some cars that drive around here. But there's just such a great level of comfort. Like even like when we were setting up the cameras earlier, like with some people just walked by and we talked to them for a few minutes. Like we've had so many lovely moments like that in the last couple of years we've been living out here full time. Yeah. That it's very much a community. Yeah. And I just love that so much. I'm just so excited for my kids because you know I grew up in Seattle, but we grew up in like a small area of Seattle called West Seattle, very cleverly named. Okay. And it just like I felt like it was similar to that a lot of people knew each other. And I feel like Glendora is just such a great place to live.
Yeah, I agree. You know, growing up, it was one of those things I wanted to kind of get out of Glendora because I wanted to experience, like you kind of experience other places. I did playing music, but I never lived in any place else. But now, as I have a family, I'm like, yeah, listen, I really don't want to be anywhere else. It's kind of nice, you know?
Oh, nice! I know. Yeah, I've done the late nights. I did, like my background, I'm a stand-up comedian and a comedy writer. And that's where, like in my early 20s, that's why I moved to New York, was to work at clubs more and do writing for different shows. And I've had a fairly good amount of success at that, but now I'm in my 40s now. I'm tired. I went to bed at like 9:15 the other night. I can't stay out anymore. Like I still try to do like sets around town, but like it takes a lot for me to get out to Santa Monica or to Hollywood. Like it has to. Like I'm a homebody now, so you know I've definitely transitioned into the more like how can I utilize these skills that I feel I've been blessed with in a sit-at-home capacity, be home by dinner capacity. And I've been very thankful and blessed to be able to find some opportunities that I can do that. Yeah. And one of them is that stupid memes account. Is that I was so used to, like one of my big things in life was I was like doing late night monologue writing. Okay. Whether it was submitting jokes freelance or doing different projects, is I was always writing topical jokes. And so, like, oh, here's this thing that happened in the UK today. I was obsessed with reading newspapers and writing stuff on it. Yeah. And so I was used to doing the daily content grind. Gotcha. And so when I transitioned over to Memes of Glendora, it's very similar in that way, where I'm thinking of 2 to 3 jokes a day. Sure. It just happens to be hyper localized.
Yeah. But it's the same kind of practice of coming up with a topic or something to.
Yeah, my brain's been trained to do this for the last 16 years. It just happens to now be about Glendora and not about, Congress.
Was comedy always something you did, or was that something you fell into early on, like at a younger age, or was this something you found later?
I thought it was something I found later, and then as I looked through old like notebooks and like class papers and things, I think I liked comedy a lot younger than I remember I do. I didn't have any interest in stand-up comedy at all when I started doing it. I always viewed it as a means to an end, because so many of my favorite stand-ups, or my favorite writers I should say, because I wanted to be a writer more than anything. So many of my favorite writers got started as stand-ups, and I hated stand-up. I would it was boring to me. And like I would be flipping through Comedy Central, and I'm like, I wish it was Kids in the Hall, or I wish it was like an old SNL rerun, but it's boring stand-up. But I was like, well, I guess I got to do this.
That's a part of it, right?
And so I started writing and started performing, and then I was like, wow, this is really hard. and the thrill of doing it is so great. Sure. And then I started to I had to appreciate it and invest myself into it, and I fell in love with it. And so I've been doing stand-up for 16 years now. Really? Like I said, started in New York, moved out here. I've had a lot of great opportunities to travel the country performing. Wow. I've been I never would have imagined it would have turned out the way that it did. That's kind of the story of my life. Never could have imagined this would have
But look at where I am now.
Never could imagine being Glendora with a memes account. But cool. Stand up. That it became, looking back, like I was a huge fan of like The Far Side and Monty Python and even like Garfield insult books or whatever. Just like when my parents were moving, I was looking through all these boxes. I'm like, I loved comedy. I just didn't realize I didn't cycle it into that. I just thought like genre, everybody loves to laugh, right? But it's like some do.
No, and I could relate in a sense because I kind of came from the music industry and it was very similar, right? I had an end goal, but we talked about now being in our, older mid ages of being like, man, I want to be home, I want to do stuff. I went from playing at bars till 3 a.m. and playing these places, and then now it's like I'm good, and now I play drums at a church.
Yeah,
I'm like, kind of full circle, but it is similar, story of just how I came to be. I sell insurance. Wait a minute, what? You have a memes account? Wait, what?
But it's very interesting where life will lead us.
Yeah,
and I've found it's really important to just kind of follow that lead.
Yeah,
and it's really easy to push back when life tries to pivot you in a direction, because you're like, no, I have these goals, I have these aspirations, and I've achieved some of them, but there's more that I want to do.
Yeah.
But and sometimes, you remember them maybe, and maybe later in life those will come back around again. Yeah. But it's really important just to like, follow wherever you're led. Whether, for me, I'm a person of faith, so I feel led by God. Other people feel led by different other things. Hey, the truck turned off. Just in time.
Now you can hear us really well.
I started talking about God and the truck turned off. Why didn't we do this 25 minutes ago? But, I feel led by a lot of different things in life, particularly faith. And just, following those voices, following that direction it's so important, because you never know what better opportunities are out there for you. If you're like, oh, I just feel stuck in the mud, like, hey, I'm not done with this yet. And it's like, well, and maybe you'll never will be. That sounds very negative.
But there is times that I had to go through that hard time of like, oh, do I continue playing music and attempting this, or do I have this other path that's bringing me over here? What do I do? And I just kind of took where I was being led, and so far it's been wonderful.
Yeah, I completely understand. Yeah, I was still, I had always been just doing nightclubs and around New York. And when I moved out to LA, I was doing, sets at like 11:30, 12 at night, and then getting home at like 2 a.m. And like when I was in New York, when you're starting out, you're not getting the premium spots.
Right.
And so I would go on after the main show ended, after Chris Rock showed up and did an hour, and then I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to follow this. And then I'd go on stage to like 3 people from Brussels who were left in the crowd who just didn't know how to get home. And I'd be like, hey, oh my, I got a big head. And they'd be like, and then I'd take like an hour and a half train ride home, because the train ran so intersparsely back at that time. So I'd be getting home at like 3, 4 a.m. And I would, I was like a manny. And so like I didn't have to be up until like 3 in the afternoon. And that's a tough life to transition to when you're like, all right, I'm going to get straight, I'm going to have kids, I'm going to pay some bills, I'm going to get a house in Glendora. It is a transition, man. But there's similar to you.
Yeah.
Ever since I had kids, I stopped going on the road as much. I still go out like a handful of times a year.
Okay.
But I used to go out, like 2 or 3 weekends a month for like Thursday through Sunday weekends around.
Yeah.
And, since my kids have been born, I'm like, I don't want to do that.
Right.
Like, it's not the most financially rewarding thing in the world. But also, it's like, I love my family. I love my kids. I love my wife. I want to be home with them.
Yeah.
And so my kids have never really seen me perform, which, drumming you can do at home. You can't really do a lot of stand-up around the house. But it's tomorrow as we're recording.
Yeah.
My daughter, who's 7, Lucy, is actually coming to see me for the first time, because I'm doing a benefit show at a Glenkirk church. And nice. So it's for Young Life. I'm doing a benefit there.
Really?
And I'm closing that out. And so I'm like, it's not too late. It's a environment you're comfortable with.
Yes, it's like a family-friendly environment.
Worst case scenario, go run around the back hallway.
Yeah.
We'll know some people there.
Wow.
So I'm really excited for her to come see me.
That's cool.
She's a bit of a heckler.
Yeah.
She sasses Dad around a bit, so it might be a rough night at the benefit show. So watch it, Lucy.
Are they thinking? Are they the kids that are like, my dad's not funny because it's my dad, or do they?
No idea. We're gonna find out tomorrow.
That's true. I guess you don't.
Yeah,
know
I mean, they see a different side of me. Like I try to be the fun. When you're a dad, you want to be like fun, but not like, you can get ice cream whenever dad's home,
like
and then mom's mad at you for just being like, you want to be just a normal parent. You want them to look at mom and dad like neither's like the one that gives you everything. You want to be like, you're both, disciplinarians at times and fun at times, and the one, like my wife takes them out and does more fun stuff with them than I do probably. Okay. I mean, for sure she does. But yeah, it's we have a really healthy balance.
That's really cool. Oh, it is, and you'll see it. And I just recently experienced that of like my son watching me for the first time, and it was exciting because I could see him, like he saw a whole other side of me that was like he's not used to, and it was like, Dad, I didn't know you could do that, or that was and so it was really exciting to see.
I think my daughter thinks I tell knock jokes,
which
is going to be a problem because she's like, what joke's going to tell? I'm like, well, it's like a 3-minute story about it's about carpool lanes. I don't really know if this might go a little over your head, honey, but just if they're laughing, assume it's funny.
Yeah, I guess it is a little different for kids when you say I tell jokes, or because their jokes are
She's given me material before, and I've put it in my pocket, be like,
okay,
sure.
I'll keep that one. Yeah.
You got it, hun.
Do you see this going further than what you're doing now? Are you still kind of like, I'll keep posting as much as I can? I'm just kind of curious to see how your thoughts are like as it develops more.
I have one goal.
Okay.
And that is, I would like to have more followers than the City of Glendora Instagram account.
I absolutely share that.
I feel like it's I don't.
You're getting there.
I don't dislike them. I would like to beat them, though. Yeah. They've gone out of their way to not follow our account or engage with us in any way. Okay. And so it's a personal mission of mine. I'm sure they're busy.
Sure.
I'm sure they've got a lot on their plate, making accounts for the police station's dog and all that. But I would like to. I would like to be. That's one goal I have, and I think we'll get there by the summer.
I think so.
Spoiler: I think it's trending that direction. I don't want to get cocky. See, that sounded too cocky. Cut that, Taylor. Okay. Cut that out. But other than that, people have asked for merch in the past.
Yeah.
It's expensive. I don't know. I don't want to have a whole bunch of shirts that nobody wants. And so I don't know.
I'll buy one.
Oh, thank you, Taylor. I don't think I didn't expect to be talking to you about this right now. It was like it was an account. I'm like, hey, did you ever notice at the corner of a buckboard and buckboard intersect? That's how it all started, Taylor. I was on a walk with my kids, and we're at the corner of Buckboard and Buckboard up by the middle school up there.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's funny, and I took a picture of it, and it reminded me of this old Seinfeld episode where Kramer's at the corner of 1 and 1. He's like, it's the nexus of the universe. I'm like, oh, that's the Glendora. I stole a Seinfeld joke. That's how it all began.
I love that.
And I just hashtagged it Glendora, and 2 people liked it. I'm like, are there people in Glendora on social media right now? And so then I just started posting, and then I looked up a month later, and I'd been posting every day, and I'm like, let's see if I can keep posting every day. Right. And it's been a year and a half now. I had no plans. There's no intentions behind this page. This is an accident.
I love it.
It stinks.
I love it. No, but it brings me joy.
Thank you.
Take that with what you want.
That's going back to my accepting compliments.
Yes,
thank you, Taylor.
It does. And even just hearing like you said, these people walk by, we mentioned, it's like, it's just one of those things that it's
very flattering.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, again, it's an extension of my background, and I'm able to use it in an environment that I love and care about a lot. So it is very fun, and it's flattering, and I'm humbled by people tuning in, scrolling by, and even if they don't like it, they just gives them a smile and they move on. That's great.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I will say sometimes too, I take it as like you're like updating me on what's going on in the town too. As much as it is like a joke, sometimes I'm like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. thanks for the update / joke.
Yeah, I don't
kind
want
of a
to
win-win.
be. I definitely don't want to be viewed as like a news source. But yeah, the other night,
a little bit.
Someone's like, "Hey, did you hear about there's a fire over by Costco?" And so then I shared it, and then people were like, "Oh, there's a fire by Costco. There's a fire by Costco." I was like, "Oh no, I got to get this information right." And it turns out it really wasn't that close to Costco. So I'm fake news apparently. But yeah, I do. I like that. Like when a new business opens, I walk up and down the street most days of the week.
Yeah.
So I do see like, oh, turns out that business is moving across the street because that business goes. It is kind of fun to be able to share that with the audience. Yeah, I do enjoy that part of it.
No, that's yeah. Well, that's what I kind of got from it too. It was like not only is it like everything you post like spot on. I just like, man, these are like dead perfect. But it's also like, oh, I didn't know that was happening. Thanks for the update.
It's more of gossip than news. Here's the hot goss in Glendora today.
So the last thing I wanted to touch on is these awards that you've been giving out, okay? I'm a huge fan of this so far.
Okay.
Like, I'm really rooting for these.
Thank you.
I love following this. How did this come about? Like, I saw Classic Coffee with the public bathroom, Grand Avenue is the off-ramp. Like, was that just something that you just kind of came to you? Was like, let's just try to give out these?
Much like other things.
Yeah.
There's no plan.
Right.
It was my daughter and I, who's 7, Lucy again.
Yeah.
We were sitting at breakfast, and she's like, who is the best elevator? And I'm like, well, obviously, Stubborn Mule has a good elevator, or the building.
Nice. Yeah.
And then we're like, well, who else has one? Who else could compete for it? And we're like, well, there's one over at Village PT.
Yeah.
And then there's, we tried to get into that one over by the mercantile market back there, but it's locked. We got to think of one more. And then we figured out there's that one over at the office building right over that way on Mita. And then I'm like, well, let's see what other people think. And so it took zero time to just put up like an awards thing.
A little poll. Like,
and then people like voted, and I'm like, oh, let's think of some other ones. Public bathroom. I got to get a couple more.
Yeah.
But yeah, I probably got to. I think we've done 4 so far.
Yeah.
Yesterday we announced the best off ramp. I went to Grand. Oh boy, did I get in trouble for that, by the way.
Oh, really?
Because Grand won. There's 3 different options for Grand. There's if you're coming eastbound, there's the Grand. There's northbound in Southland. And then there's also, if you're coming westbound on Grand, there's that really beautiful one with the big Welcome Glendora sign. Right. So when I posted it, I put the sticker on one thing, they're like, oh, I thought you were talking about that one. I'm like, all right.
I didn't even think of that.
I don't know how much printer paper I have to make these up. Give me a break. I can't go around that many places. But yes, congratulations, Grand.
Yes.
You all won. I only I had printer paper and a cereal box with some tape, and I stuck it on there.
And I saw
how much cereal do you think I have?
I saw people like videoed it, like they drove by and saw it on the side.
Hopefully it stays up for a while. I know it's going to rain this weekend, but
I hope so.
That'd be fun.
No, that's great. I think that's just fun stuff. It's fun stuff to share. Like the fact that Class Coffee interacted with it.
Oh my gosh, that was a thrill.
That was so great to see, No,
that turned it to a different level, because at first we were just going to, our plan was to sneak it into the bathroom at Classic Coffee, but they were closed.
Oh.
And so my daughter knocked, and there was someone still working there, and so she just handed it to him, and he seemed really confused. But then I woke up the next morning, and they had a little video celebrating it.
Really?
That just made my day.
So you didn't even know that?
No. They just did that and sent it in.
Oh,
it was so
that's
sweet.
Cool. That's really
lovely folks over there at Classic Coffee in Glendora Village, Glendora, California.
Yes. Go have a coffee from them. They're great. They've also been on this show.
Oh, Jonathan,
yeah, he's well known.
Yeah, he's an alumni of Good Morning Glendora.
Yeah. Well, it's been fun, Adam.
It has been fun.
It's been fun. I know you're probably a busy guy, so I don't want to keep. I won't take too much of your time.
I could be. I don't have too much else to do today.
Okay,
so.
All right. Well, hey, this has been great. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, reach out to you, follow you, where can they find you?
The easiest way is just DMing me on at Memes of Glendora. You can see it at the bottom of the screen right now. Just giving you a little homework to do. Put it at the bottom of the screen on Instagram. We're also on TikTok and Facebook, but I never remember to update those. But I technically we're on there. But just go to Instagram. That's where it happens at. Yeah, just shoot me a DM if you see anything cool and wacky, because I don't know, man. There's so much stuff going on around here. yeah, if you see something fun, I'll probably share it. I don't have that much of too much restraint. Like if it's good, my filter like, sure, that is good.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, get it up.
Yeah, why not? Okay, great. Yeah, no, make sure to follow it, guys, because it's been, like I said, it's like that daily dose of just a good laugh, a good update on the town, what's happening. You know, it's always something clever. So that's why I say there's a geniusness behind that, because it takes a special something to come up with these. Because man, like I say, the windy one with the Gangnam Style, like whatever it was, it's just always spot on. So
well, thank you very much, Taylor.
Thanks
I appreciate
for sharing
it.
them. Yeah.
Good morning, Glendora.